You know, the question with Night Gallery, there should have been a fourth or fifth season because season three was just an afterthought for syndication. If they would have had the same dedication of season one and season two, and if Jack Laird would have backed down and let Rod Serling do what he wanted to do with his writing in the series, we would have talked about at least one or two more campaigns. So today we're not going to be talking about the 98 different episodes and blackouts and short plays. We're talking about the unproduced scripts for Night Gallery. Now, throughout the run of the series, several scripts and stories, most of which were written or adapted by Rod Serling, were considered and either rejected or left unproduced for various reasons. Now, a key one was something called A Gentleman from Prague. Now, based on a short story by August Derleth, the story involves a man named Silent Ducra. Arriving home in Britain after traveling on the continent, he calls his business associate, Abel Spears. When the latter arrives, the two examine and discuss a gold chain that Ducru stole from a grave in Europe. Then the occupant of the grave turns up. Now, this was considered a little bit too scary for Night Gallery to have, and maybe was too much of a cousin to the first season episode, The Dead Man. Now, this one should have been done, and it was later adapted as a segment in the 1977 film Dead of Night. It's called No Such Thing as a Vampire. Based on a short story by Richard Matheson, the story takes place in a small town in Transylvania. A doctor's wife discovers puncture marks on her neck and fears abound that she is being attacked by a vampire. Now, the Dead of Night version goes like this. Patrick McNee and Annette Comer and Alicia Cook and Horace Buchholz are the key actors. This one, again, a woman, Alexis, repeatedly awakes to find bleeding punctured wounds in her throat, making the entire household believe she has been victimized by a vampire. Terrified, all the servants save one, Carol, quit the household and spread word of vampire attacks through the town. Her husband attempts to deal with the terror by adoring the house with garlic and searching local tombs to no avail. He resorts to engaging the services of her friend, Michael. However, after Michael arrives, Alexis' husband drugs him to make him sleep. He is in fact responsible for the vampire attacks on his wife, using a hypodermic needle to draw blood from her neck. He squirts blood from the needle across Michael's mouth and plants his unconscious body inside a coffin in the attic. He then summons Carell and contrives for them to find the seemingly vampiric Michael in the coffin. At his orders, Carell kills Michael with a stake. The entire situation was a scheme devised by Alexis' husband to murder Michael, who he believes was having an affair with Alexis, in a way that no blame could be attached to him. So a very, very, like I said, Alfred Hitchcock presents Gathering. Now, Rod Serling's Does the Name Grimsby Do Anything to You? The story delves into the delicate psyche of an astronaut, driven by his type A zeal to be the first man to walk on the lunar surface. He unravels when he finds and destroys evidence during his moonwalk that he was in fact second to an obscure and discredited scientist from a century earlier. Scott Skelton talks about a little book in the Night Gallery, about the episode of Night Gallery book. Now, although presented during the early planning stages for the show, the idea was jettisoned. However, Serling later developed in a short story and included it in the 1971 book Night Gallery, which was published when the series was still on the air. So the next one is called Let Me Live in a House, based on a story by Chad Oliver. The story dealt with questions of existence identity, the Kafkaesque puppets on the stage concept previously explored on The Twilight Zone. Now, Nightmare Morning is an adaptation of Robert A. Heinlein's Day. The story revolves around a delusional patient in a New York hospital who believes his reality has been manufactured by an alien culture as a zoo environment for him as Earth's last survivor. His delusion turns out to be real. Now, Reflections is a retread of The Cemetery. Now, let me tell you about The Dead. Now, based on Graham Greene's classic A Little Place Off the Edgeware Road, it tells of a man named Craven who tries to convince others of his illusion that the dead have been rising from their graves. In a second story thread, there's a Ripper-type killer on the loose. Both story threads merge when Craven meets one of the Ripper's victims, zombified in a darkened movie theater. Now, Quartet Doomed. It's a thinly disguised take on Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, struck with characters out of a poor radio drama. The loudmouth Texas oil man, the effete society columnist, the backstabbing assistant, and the gold-digging ex-chorus liner. They are invited to witness the reading of a dead mystic's will. Instead of bequeathing to them his riches, He hands him out death sentences for the partner ruining his life. For the rest of the play, the four characters try to avoid the circumstances of their demise. Now, The Onlooker, which was written by Serling, follows the story of a cold-eyed hitman who loses his professional cool, then his life, when he tries to escape a mysterious man who dogs his trail, death. Now, How Does Your Garden Grow? This is an adaptation of John Collier's short story Green Thoughts, a character study involving an old gardener, his cat, a pair of dotty neighbors, a young girl claiming the widow of the old gardener's dead son, and a man-eating plant. Now, The View of Whatever is probably the one that should have been made. The story tells of Joe Sprague, who suffers the loss of his only son during the Vietnam War. In deep depression, he develops a desperate desire to escape from a present he hates. Taking form as a strange illusion, he claims that his childhood past can be viewed from his bedroom window, which is a portal in 1930s Birmingham, New York. The despairing Sprague takes his chances and steps through the window to find himself 10 years old in that summer. Ultimately, he looks pensively in the camera as the viewer dissolves to the present for which he escaped. Sprague's children and family is distraught at finding him missing. Sprague's family, Dr. Ike Colby, tries to console him, but as he looks out Sprague's bedroom window, the portal shows his own past, a wave-lapped shore at a tropical setting and a familiar dark-haired woman beckoning. As the vision fades, Colby finds comfort in knowing that Joe Sprague has finally gone home. And the last one, of course, is Where Seldom Is Heard, written by Gene Kearney. The story is a vignette, an extended sketch with his punchline turning on hunchback bellrigger Quasimodo's deafness. Now, you can read more about this, of course, in Scott Salton and Jim Benson's 1990 book, Rod Serling's Night Gallery and After Hours Tour by Syracuse University Press. Now, I think The View of Whatever could have really worked in any type of anthology, but the idea about Rod Serling, who was always looking backwards. Now, The View of Whatever is quite chilling. That two characters, one decides to go through the window, and the doctor doesn't do it. But I mean, the old line: if I had a chance to go back, I'd run. So I mean, Serling was always looking at the past. He probably knew he was going to die young because the time his heart trouble that took him, in middle age, he was still questioning his path in life. And what Jack Laird did to not allow a fourth season and basically be, just there for the syndication package and demean what Rod wanted to do. Rod was going to write more and more like some of the second season episodes, and I think it would have worked. But Rod Serling's Night Gallery, that's what I call it. Jack Laird was not. There would be no Night Gallery without Rod Serling. Jack Laird was just, Steve Young to Joe Montana, if you know the NFL analogy. So that's the story of the unproduced Night Gallery shows. And I like to see, again, somebody take up a mantle of some of these movies, but in 2025, how many people is going to remember or want to be taken part in a secondary version of Twilight Zone? They rebooted the Twilight Zone how many times now, and they're still kind of missing the mark. But that last one, looking, I can just see kind of, like Ben Affleck or Matt Damon playing that character. I think it would work. Again, if you're a fan of Night Gallery, we have many Night Gallery reviews and podcasts on the channel. Please check it out. And this one is for Tony Roberts, who is, of course, the key actor in Messiah Mott Street with the great Edward G. Robinson. Like, he's greatly missed. And as a young kid watching Night Gallery, that was, that was my gift for the week. My mother and father would let me to stay up and watch it. And, the waiting room still on a cold winter night, boys. That's my favorite episode, but everybody knows that on the channel anyway. So thanks for listening. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share.